big blank space. Okay, so you could think, okay, what multiplies to 25 and adds to -10, and do the whole table. But it's actually, this one can be done more quickly because 25 square roots, you can just square root 25 and put the 5 in. And then yesterday we practiced writing this as a binomial squared. Same thing with number 2. You could do the a times c method, but 16 square roots, and so does 49. So the square root of 16 is 4x, and the square root of 49 is 7. And then since the 56 is negative, we put a minus in the middle. So instead of doing 16 times 49, that's a huge number, and finding numbers that multiply to that and add to the middle, you could just square root the 16 and square root the 49. But everybody says, well, what about B? Where did the 56 go? What about the 56? The 56 is here. You just can't see it. If you were to FOIL and put it back in standard form, you would see it. But there's a rule that'll help you understand where the 56 is. And I talked about this rule October 6th, just that one time. The rule is the 56 should be the square root of A times the square root of C times 2 should equal whatever's in the B spot. So let's look. So we would have the square root of A is 4. And the square root of C is 7. Now multiply that by 2. That's 28 by 2. That's 56. Sure enough, there's the 56. Okay? So you don't have to think about this rule too much. Most of the time, you're just going to square root and square root. So you need to save your time if you're factoring and this number square roots and this square roots. Don't do the fancy method. Just number 3. 2 parentheses, square root 4, get a 2x. Square root 81, get a 9. Everything's positive, use a plus sign. And write it as one binomial squared. Maybe I'll check the rule. Is 2 times 9 times 2b 18 times 2 36? Yes, it works. Who's got a question? All right, get out your homework if you don't have a question.
Okay.
Here's number 1 and 3. So the ebook problems that we did yesterday were a lot like number 1, and then number 3 was different because you can't actually square root 5. So your answer should have a radical in it. If you made it a decimal, go back and leave it the square root of 5. And number 5 is a little complicated as well. When you square root negative 100, you should have a 10i. So if you wrote negative 10, go back and make it 10i. Oh, you did have some. You did the online challenge yesterday? So maybe that wasn't a good learning tool if you couldn't remember anything you did. And then 7 was the most complicated one out of the top half. So factoring this 4w squared, maybe you factored it 8 times C method, but your factors should have a 2w plus 1. 2w plus 1. If you didn't have a 2, go back and redo it. And then you're square rooting 75. So the correct order of operations is to subtract the 1 and then divide by 2. Then you have your 75 is the same as 25 times 30. Okay. What's your question?
No, I'll just have to check it out. It's hard to explain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, remember if this was a 25 and you just square root it and make it 5, you can't do that. So it's definitely. Alright, and then here's 9, 11, and 13. Is that what your phone was? Do 11, 13. Okay, you want to take a picture of the answers so that maybe later when you're trying to figure it out, you can check. It's example 1 and 2 and 3.3. Okay, and then 17 is pretty important. We'll have some fractions in today's work. So in 17, b is 13. B over 2 squared, just square the top, square the bottom. Don't get intimidated by a fraction. Actually, a decimal is going to be more difficult, so don't make these decimals. The fractions, you just look at them top and bottom separate, and it's fine. So to factor, you square root 169 is a 13. Square root 4 is a 2. And so you just have these square roots in the factor. Leave it fraction.
If we were to simplify it and then like what doesn't have to be a red, only the bottom has to be like.
Yeah, you can't leave a radical on the bottom. The top is fine. Alright, if you're done with that, find example 3 in chapter 3.3 and start looking through it. I'm going to go through example 3 with you. Page 216, I believe. 217. 17. All right, so the steps here are decent. I'm gonna add a little bit of a word here and there to help you understand what it is the book is showing you to do. First off, yeah, I love that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Say it all over again. Okay. So first off, let's just take a look at how terrible this problem is. Like, oh, the 7 is a bad situation because nothing will multiply to 7 and add to 10. Because 7 is just like 1 times 7. So unless there's an 8 or a 6, this is no good. Okay, so since it doesn't work, we're going to change it and make it into something that will. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get the 7 out of there. So if you look, the way the textbook explains it is to write the left side as x squared plus bx. The way that I would say that is I just move c. If that number's not working, move it to the other side. So if you want to write this little note next to those steps, just add to it. That's what I show. So they could have shown this to you, like minus c, 7 minus 7. They move it. Now when I move c, you'll see in the example I do. I leave a big blank space for a better number. So I move the 7 and then I leave an open box here because I'm going to put something in here that will work better than 7. I also put a blank space on the other side because if we put a number here, we also have to put it on this side to follow the rules of algebra. So our next step is to put in the best number possible. The best number possible, like we practiced yesterday, is b over 2 squared. So negative 10 over 2 squared would be 25. A 25 has been added to both sides of this equation. After that, the book says write the left side as a binomial squared. We call that factor, right? We factored it. So let's factor by square rooting. The square root of 25 is 5. Use the minus sign. And then from step 4 on, I think you guys are good to go. You're square rooting. Square root. Leave it in simplest particle form. Ready to try it? Christian, see you ready to try it? The problem we're going to try together is on page 220. It's a huge gray page. We're going to do the first one, number 8. And then actually I'm leaving the rest of class for you guys to do the homework assignment. So, yeah, we're just doing this one problem and I'm going to launch into that assignment. So please do this one. Page 220, number 8. So first I look at it and I think, well, is there anything that will multiply to 8 and add to 4? And there's not. Like this doesn't, I can't factor it. It doesn't work. So I'm going to move the 8 to the other side so I can put a number in that does work. And guys, I'm not just putting this here for your benefit. This is how I do my math. I write a blank space. And this really will help you like move through the steps. So this reminds me that, okay, the reason I'm moving 8 is so that I can put a better number in there. The formula we practiced yesterday is the number we want to put in, b over 2 squared. So negative 4 divided by 2 squared. Negative 2 squared, positive 4. So I'm putting a 4 into the problem because the 4 will factor. And so the rules of math say if I put it here, I also put it over here. And this is the one the students will forget. So I put this very special number here. And since I put it here, I also put it here. And now I can factor. So this is a number that works. What multiplies to 4 and adds to negative 4? Yep. So I'm going to write that as x minus 2. And I'm also going to combine these like terms. Over there. And now we are at yesterday's work. So now we'll square root. Solve by square rooting. Big square root, big square root. Be really careful about negatives. Don't write a negative 2. The square root of negative 4 is 2i. Last step to getting x alone. That's it. That's the whole process. That's the whole process of solving an equation that cannot be factored. Now, from here, this could look different. You know, like maybe the number doesn't square root, or maybe you don't need I, so it can get a little complicated. But those are our steps. So now turn to page 222 and let's start the assignment, 21 to 28. Thank you. I'm going to do 21 with you, and then we'll pause and really let you guys work on this. As you progress through, you'll notice that they get a little more complex. Does anybody want to take a picture of the screen before I move on? Go ahead. So you're on the back of the page that you ripped out yesterday. That's where we're at. The back of the page you ripped out yesterday. I really am feeling for you guys. I think you guys should transfer to 3 reminders. I really think like starting chapter 4 especially to rip out the whole chapter. Put it in a binder and you don't have to deal with the books at all. They'll go in order. I have binders if you guys want them. And a whole bunch of them. So do it. 21. 21. So I don't like how much space is provided here, so I'm doing it on a separate piece of paper. I recommend it. Here we go. Alright, so nothing multiplies to 3 and adds to 6. So this problem is terrible. I'm going to rewrite it in a better way. Thanks to the mathematicians who thought of this. Oh, it doesn't work. Well, maybe we can make it work. Let's break these numbers up differently. Move the number that doesn't work. And then use b over 2 squared instead. B is 6. And now you have something that will work. So if you created the new number correctly, you will be able to factor every time. So now it's like what multiplies to 9 and adds to 6? X plus 3 times x plus 3. Don't forget your plus or minus sign. And your last step, when you move that 3, it just shows up in between the equal sign and the plus or